Now, America was shocked this week in more serious news by the murder of Laken Riley, a 22-year-old nursing student who was out for a run one morning in Athens, Georgia, and was murdered allegedly by an illegal immigrant called Jose Ibarra from Venezuela, who it turns out was already had multiple run-ins with the law, but had been allowed to keep walking free again and again in Joe Biden's America, a place where foreign criminals seem to just walk free, while, of course, other people, let's say journalists who are charged with a misdemeanor because the government didn't like the way they covered the January 6th incident at the U.S. Capitol, wind up facing possible jail over misdemeanors. And as much of a tragedy as this Laken Riley murder is for the family and friends of the young student, who were forced to late arrest a young woman taken far too soon in an entirely unnecessary crime, this is also a big disaster politically for the Biden administration, which is now absolutely under the pump for its virtually open border policies that have run basically since they took office. Now, naturally, the media in the U.S. has been running a cover operation for the Bidens. The Associated Press tried to claim that this was really actually not a story about migration, but the danger female athletes face when they go running alone, and refused for a time to even mention that Laken Riley's alleged killer was in the country illegally. Meanwhile, CNN did its own thing, claiming that there was little evidence to link illegal immigration with crime. Sure, okay. Just ask Laken Riley's family. Meanwhile, the White House is doing its best to spin its way out of trouble on the issue. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre asked about just what the Biden administration is going to do to crack down on illegal immigration, which has exploded from under 500,000 a year when Donald Trump was trying to build his wall to more than 3 million a year. Have a listen.
The president took 94 or so executive actions in his first 100 days that largely loosened immigration policy. One of those was narrowing who ICE could remove. And the administration, as of yesterday, I believe, is now calling on sanctuary cities to cooperate with ICE. So why doesn't the president act like he said it's time to do and start undoing some of those policies that he put in place right when he got into office?
So I think a couple of things. Since day one, the president took action. He did. He put forth a comprehensive immigration policy, and he did that because he understood what was happening, right? He understood that the immigration system was broken. He understood that we needed to take action, and he did.
Oh, really? Did he now? You know, it's a shame that the Washington Post and Facebook and CNN and all those people don't do real fact checks against this White House like they do when Republicans are in power. I mean, let's look at what actually Biden was saying back in 2020.
How exactly would you detain immigrants, if at all, in a Biden administration?
The way we did when we reformed the system with the DACA, I would not retain them behind bars. They show up. No, here's what they do. They show up. Sometimes you have an ankle bracelet, you set a hearing. Nobody, and some of you are going to get mad at me with this, but nobody is going to be deported in my first 100 days until we get through the point that we find out the only rationale for deportation will be whether or not you've committed a felony while in the country. On day one, I'm going to send immigration legislation reform to the Congress to provide a roadmap to citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants and so much that make up so much of our communities and make us so strong.
Now, all of this has, of course, created a great political opportunity for Donald Trump, who paid a visit to the border Friday and got quite the welcome.
They like Trump. Could you believe it?
They like Trump. What can I say? I tell you what, I can say November cannot come soon enough.